Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Make it louder.
Good to see you.
Just make it louder. Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you?
You have young ladies.
I cannot wait to highlight that story on Friday. I have a surprise for you.
Of the future.
Which is so beautiful to see, right?
Beautiful.
Good morning, Ayo. How are you this morning?
Very
Perfect. Good morning, Rufai. How are you this morning?
Morning, Oji. The devil is a liar.
The devil is a liar. Can you see? I hope he can tell that he's a liar. Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. With reactions to the visit of U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who met with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday and assured Nigerians of the United States' readiness to partner with and invest in the Nigerian economy. Blinken, who is on an African tour, made the remarks at the presidential villa, adding that Nigeria offers real, clear, and competitive opportunities for investors, but however noted that tackling corruption will make it easier for companies to repatriate capital, which is essential for attracting foreign investments.
I'm here in Nigeria at President Biden's behest, and earlier this week we were in Cabo Verde, in Cote d'Ivoire, and we'll be going on to Angola, because we share that conviction. Africa has shaped our past. It is shaping the present. It will shape our future. Now, Nigeria offers real, clear, compelling opportunities for investors. At the same time, I think it's no secret that there remains some long-term challenges that need to be overcome to really unlock the full potential. Tackling corruption, making it easier for foreign companies to repatriate capital, these will all pull in a transformative direction and pull in transformative investment.
Well, all right, Ayo, this is a loaded statement. Although he, applauded the president for, his great strides in his reforms, removing subsidy and all of that. But there are a lot of Nigerians that have questioned this statement in terms of what it is that they want from Nigeria. Yeah. But obviously, you know that they will question. But let me take this Harris tweet. He wrote, "The U.S. travel advisory is saying otherwise, discouraging U.S. citizens from coming to Nigeria, citing security reasons. I hope the sudden turnaround is not connected to the forthcoming U.S. elections. You can never really trust these guys, though it's a welcome development." Obviously, you know that there's elections going on. There's always so many reasons for foreign countries to partner with others.
I mean, absolutely. And the truth is that when it comes to diplomatic relations, especially from the U.S. perspective, it's always U.S. first. So when they go into countries, of course, that's when people begin to speculate why the interest in the particular country. But what we've seen in recent times, particularly following the coups in some parts of the region, is that we've seen other countries like Russia capitalize on the unrest in this part of the continent, and so have tried to make an inroad into the continent. In Niger, following the coup in Niger, Russia, they've aligned with Russia following the ousting of President Bazoum. They have, tried to form alliance with Niger, and of course the U.S. is rightly worried, and so they're also finding ways to establish their own inroad into the continent. And he said it during his speech that they've identified Nigeria being the largest economy in Africa, being the frontier when it comes to business in Africa. He spoke the right words, said the right things in terms of positioning as, to have trade partners with Nigeria, talked about the history of investments in Nigeria, over $300 million in the last few years, also promising a further $54 million to help, investments in Nigeria and other parts of the West African continent, and also talking about training our military personnel. So highlighting the partnership, almost saying that we have been in partnership for a long time. We are allies. Don't forget that. Do not open doors to others, perhaps. So this is a very strong statement by the U.S. Secretary of State coming in to say that we are still partners. We are still quite present on the African continent. But beyond that is what Nigeria then should look at as to what then is our own benefit. Because if the U.S. is U.S. first, Nigeria must also be Nigeria first. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Toga, had said the right things in terms of positioning Nigeria properly and having a more prominent seat and role at the UN Security Council. Right things to be said. He talked about trade, the US looking at opportunities to boost and support our military efforts, especially with this administration's commitment to fighting insecurity. Cultural tourism as well. He's visiting Lagos today, and some cultural spots in Lagos he would visit. I think those are really important conversations to have. Yeah. But in terms of skeptical elections, I'm not sure if he had ties to the elections more than okay, we're coming in, let's not allow, the coups that have happened in recent times to open doors to other non-allies of the US to take to have a foothold in the continent. But Nigeria must also put Nigeria first and ensure that as the US is positioning itself, we also position ourselves to benefit from this interest in our nation. I
really liked his warning and talking about tackling corruption and especially insecurity, like Harry highlighted in his tweet. The US advisory is telling the United States citizens not to come to Nigeria because of the heightened insecurity. I think, like you rightly said, we need to tackle our own problems. It is such an important warning, and it's, like I said, it's a loaded statement for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We'll take another story. Following up on the recent kidnappings in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has said that it is impossible to stop crime in Nigeria or anywhere, adding that politicians who are hell-bent on making sure that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government will fail are responsible for the heightened tensions and the alarm raised over insecurity in the FCT.
Some of these things are political.
This one.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. The so-called alarm. You don't know. Some politicians are bent on making sure the government does not survive. And how do you do it? By creating unnecessary tension. By carrying propaganda that something just happened there. They tell you it has happened 25 times. You must understand how our system works. There are those who are blackmailers who are paid. They are paid. Tell me, how am I going home on a Friday? Do you understand what I'm saying? How does it affect you not taking security serious?
They say you're distracted, and that's what
distracted what?
By reverse politics.
What is the politics? So the only time the kidnapping is when I'm not around on Saturday. So they don't kidnap Monday to Friday when I'm around. So these are the things we'll tell you. So you now see, that is political, that is propaganda. I've told you, you cannot stop total crime. Let one person tell me, as a professional, as an expert, that there's anywhere in this world where there's zero crime. Tell me where.
Well, in the meantime, the chairman of Ikwere local government area of Rivers State, Samuel Nwanosike, was seen in a viral video accusing the governor of the state, Sim Fubara, of not achieving anything as governor of the state since he took over from Wike on May 29th, describing him as a foolish governor. He also alleged that Fubara is the one sponsoring kidnappings in the FCT.
I told the chairman of our party that the only way that you can stop me from talking is when the likes of OjyOkpe sent by Fubara to stop insulting Wike. When they insult Wike, I will insult Fubara. So today, Fubara is a foolish governor. He's not a new governor. He's a foolish governor. Because since he took office, May 29, he has done nothing for Rivers people. That's the way so when he took office. From the first of office, started Operation Zero Port Hole. From there, he started doing projects. That's the way so in the first 3 months in office, he put over the internal road. Fubara should tell us, what project has he done? Other than carrying our money and paying bribe to insult Wike, he's paying people to go and tell Abuja that Wike is playing politics in Rivers State, that they are doing kidnapping in Abuja. It means that Fubara is part of those supporting the kidnapping in Abuja because he wants to Wike to the world. Let's go with only one face. Foul!
All right, political insecurity and now Fubara is the one sponsoring kidnappers. Over to you, Rufai.
I think the recklessness of politicians have become so insensitive in this country.
Absolutely.
And I think this politician, this local government chairman, should apologize to the Nabena family, a girl that came out with a first class, that ought to be having a convocation 3 days from now, I hear, on the 27th, but was killed by kidnappers. I think it's a big indictment on this politician, and he should check and examine himself. How more are we going to bring the issue of politicking into things? You're not even stating the fact. You say Fubara has not done anything. That's a lie. Fubara commissioned the hospital that I saw with my eyes. It was live on television. Also, Governor Wike, because of his own interest, had made the state ungovernable for the man. You can see that which governor signs the budget into law, and they're now saying the court is saying go back and resign the budget. And the effrontery for a local government chairman to talk to a governor like this. Anyway, it is the Fubara that has put himself like that. You know, the Yorubas have a saying that something back be nishonle, dear maguri, Dr. Abati. It just means is that when you are already rock bottom, people that had no impetus to talk to you will mess you up. And that's what is happening. That a local government chair in a state where the governor is king has the effrontery to put all sorts of verbiage out against the governor. So it's Fubara's fault, and that's why we keep telling them, if you don't stand tall, you get insults. Secondly, as regards Governor Wike, I put it to you, you've been so distracted with Rivers State that you've not. And you've been found wanting in paying attention to what is happening. In Abuja, let's call it spade. Most weekends you are out. It took you how many days to set up the consultative forum that you had with the so-called communities as regards things were involved. And this is what a lot of people around are saying. Till date, the Labour Party senator of FCT struggled. She's not been able to see. She's been crying that she wants to see him. If for anything, discuss about what is happening. And I put it to Governor Wike, give us empirical facts. That is politicians that want to disrupt things. Those are the ones that are sending bandits to go and kidnap people. Didn't you hear the ransom they paid? Didn't you hear what the people went through? Why are you very insensitive like this to the plight of people? So for you to face and do what you ought to do, then you are blaming everything on politicians. Nobody out there is trying. If you have intelligence that politicians want to destabilize President Tinubu's administration, he who alleges must prove. We put it to you, give us the intelligence reports.
He who alleges must prove.
What is all of this?
You have a basic principle in law.
Yes.
If you allege, you must prove.
Correct.
However, let me start with Samuel Nyesom. That's the name of the chairman of Kwere local government. Now, incidentally, Minister Nyesom Wike is also from Kwere local government. So what you've seen Nyesom doing there is a classic case of sycophancy, bootlicking, in a mindless manner too. And what I find funny is that he's accusing Fubara of imitating Nyesom Wike in terms of projects. But the truth of the matter is that he's in fact the one who is imitating Wike. In fact, look at him. He was even trying to talk like Nyesom Wike.
Absolutely.
He said, Fubara is the one causing, then he expected the people to conclude it. I mean, how so funny can people be? Are they supposed to be an adult? You know, just clowning in a public forum.
All right.
Now, to go beyond that, he accuses Fubara of being responsible for kidnappings in Abuja. And that takes us to that basic principle that he who alleges must prove. He's making a very serious allegation that is defamatory per se. And to the best of our knowledge, a local government chairman does not enjoy immunity under Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution. So it is up to Fubara to defend his integrity, which has been publicly impugned by this woman, Nosike, and to sue him for libel.
Absolutely.
Because that is precisely what he has done. But Fubara, of course, has a reputation for accepting whatever debt is thrown at him.
Yes, sir.
So he may say,
the boy is good.
He may say as governor, he doesn't
I love peace.
Let him abuse me.
He's a good boy.
I love peace.
Just day or day.
Sim is a good boy. The boy is good.
Well, if they malign you publicly and they say you are a kidnapper and you can't defend yourself, then it's up to you because you have the right to defend your reputation. That's that about that. He's asking what project has he done. It's up to Fubara to tell us the projects that he has done. He should defend himself. He should not say for peace. Somebody will call you a kidnapper and you say it's okay because you are governor. As for Wike himself, he's trying to downplay the rate of abductions, kidnapping in Abuja. 25 persons abducted within 2 weeks. Out of those 25, 4 were killed, including, people who had even paid their ransom. And here you have Nyesom Wike, the minister of the FCT, playing politics with people's lives. And having the temerity to tell Nigerians that nobody should expect zero crime, that government cannot guarantee zero crime. Is that what you should say? We expect our political leaders to show empathy, to have human feelings. Look at the Al-Qadiriya family that lost their daughter. So what he will say to that man that was on this TV station, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, is that there can be no zero crime. And he even goes further to say that the people who are talking about kidnappings are politicians who are projecting propaganda. 2 people will be abducted and then they will say the whole of the Federal Capital Territory is not safe. I recommend for Nyesom Wike's education the editorial that was written on this same subject by The Economist. And The Economist newspaper was saying that, look, part of the reason kidnapping is wreaking havoc in Nigeria is because our political leaders do not take things seriously except it affects them personally. What Wike has done is simply to confirm the submission of The Economist newspaper. So this is the kind of leadership that we are saddled with. Further, Wike himself is a lawyer. I hope he has not forgotten Section 14, 2B of the 1999 Constitution, which says the duty of the government is to ensure the security and the welfare of the people. So, and it is wrong to say it's politicians that are complaining. No, maybe when they start abducting the children of politicians, then politicians can start complaining. But ordinary people are no longer safe in any part of this country, and they are not even safe in the Federal Capital Territory, over which he superintends as minister, and which is even a security zone. If the government of Nigeria cannot secure its own Federal Capital Territory, which is the seat of power, then of course it means that the rest of us have been turned adrift. And for a minister to come and tell us that this is propaganda, no, I think it's scandalous. Absolutely. But he may, after a fashion, come and say he was quoted out of context, or that he was misrepresented. That's what government officials say. And they will say it's the Arise people trying to misinterpret.
No, he's the minister
I thought nobody is deaf on this table. Well, I thought we heard clearly what you said.
Dr. Abati. We'll take another story. The Department of State Services have debunked claims that the president of Miyetti Allah Kautal Hore, Bello Bodejo, is in its custody. On Tuesday, reports began circulating that Bodejo was arrested by the DSS over the unveiling of a vigilante group in Nasarawa State last week. Bodejo had said that the nomad vigilante group, which is made up of 1,144 Fulani youth, selected from various communities in the 13 local government areas of the state, would assist security agencies in combating criminal activities in the north-central state. Well, Peter Afunaya, spokesperson of the DSS, in a statement on Tuesday evening, clarified that Bodejo was never arrested by the agency. Over to you, Ayo. You recall, I believe it was even just yesterday that this news began circulating that the army and the DSS barged into the headquarters of the Miyetti Allah to, arrest him. I mean, they said in the claim that the DSS had said that Miyetti Allah was not registered in the DSS or, any security agencies in line with the federal government rules of even unveiling a vigilante group such as this. This story has raised a lot of questions as to how is it possible that this same set of group of people are some of the people that have been, alleged or fingered into these types of terrorist acts in the north central states.
I think if the DSS doesn't have him in their custody, maybe they should invite him, because that's what we should be talking about. Yeah. It's quite surprising to hear that non-state actors have the boldness to create their own security architecture, be bold enough to release this and then make statements that totally embarrasses the security agencies by saying that by doing this, they have lost confidence in the ability of the security agencies provided by the state to provide security. And I think that is what a key issue for me here. The fact and the boldness, because it's Miyetti Allah today. Other groups can then also come up. Tomorrow, what's a friend that is not happy anymore with the president? The singing Asari Dokubo would come. And that's what we've seen in recent times. And the fact that they've held or handled these things with kids' gloves means that more non-state actors have the boldness to come up like this. And very soon they too might decide to brandish weapons and say that because we don't feel safe, we need to protect our own people. That's what he was saying, the reason for setting up this group. It needs to be investigated. The DSS has come out to say that they don't have him in his custody, so perhaps there's nothing, there for them to investigate. But I do believe that if not the DSS, then security agencies must do so. So whilst the IG of police, Kayode Egbetokun, is announcing his SIS, Miyetti Allah too is announcing their own group. So another group too. So it's just a free-for-all.
Absolutely.
We have emphasized on the show the importance of securing lives and property in Nigeria. And unfortunately, so far, this administration hasn't demonstrated the capacity to totally deal with the insecurity situation. However, they have made promises. We are hopeful. We're looking forward to them beyond saying the right things and making the right statements and launching new special intervention squads to actually deal with kidnapping, banditry, terrorists, and not some people who accuse themselves of being suspect being at the forefront of leading this charge.
Ayo, you have said it all. We have highlighted on this show how to tackle insecurity. Last week we talked about Femi Otedola adding 1 billion naira into that Lagos State Security Trust Fund. We also saw the Kaduna State Governor also unveiling the State Security Fund. Well, the Osun State Governor also, Ademola Adeleke, has directed the establishment of the State Security Trust Fund as part of efforts to secure lives and property of residents in the state. The governor said the fund will operate on a public-private partnership model in close collaboration with corporate organizations, business communities, industrialists, and critical stakeholders. Adeleke also stated that the fund, which will be deployed for the provision of material and logistic support for security operatives in the state, will be set up by a committee, which will include members of the security services with a view to proffering solutions to security challenges facing the state. I mean, last week we did talk about it. We have to encourage all state governors to try and emulate this model. It's a no-brainer. You get, the private sector to invest to try to help the security situation, not this type of Miyetti Allah groups that are not recognized by the federal government. I mean, only last week, Dr. Bati talked about the fact that, we were all shouting when Boko Haram was, reintroduced into the society. Now we are hearing that the Nigerian Defense Headquarters is saying that they have released over 1,000 terrorists in Borno State from 2016 to 2022.
Oji, I fear for this country. And what I'm going to say this morning is instructive and seminal. A nation that is having too many militia is on the brink. We might not want to hear it, but it's the hard truth. And I'll segue into the editorial by The Economist. A nation that is having too many militia is on the brink. Miyetti Allah Kautal Hore. We remember, we know the antecedents of Miyetti Allah. We remember the wranglings and the back and forth. Remember what cattle breeders would normally face, or herders would normally face with farmers. And now they are going ahead to set up their own brigade of some sort. And they are putting those people out there, 1,000 of them, in the mix of things. Let us be careful the fire we are lighting in this country. Let us be careful. A country where you are having too many militia is failing as we speak. The government, the states, must have the autonomy and the strongest force of violence. That's what makes a state. If a state loses its capacity for violence and have the biggest autonomy of violence, then that state is not a state. And that's why that state cannot do what is stated in the Constitution, Section 14, providing security.
Absolutely.
We are having too many militias in Nigeria. let us wake up.
Yeah, I would have loved to take our final story, Dr. Bati, but I think this is such an important story about, Osun State establishing the Security Trust Fund and this idea of Miyetti Allah unveiling a security outfit.
Okay, number one, I think the fact that Osun State government is also establishing a Security Trust Fund is a good idea. You know that the Nigerian police or the security agencies, they are under-equipped, they are underfunded, they are poorly resourced. As a result of that, state governments set up their own security trust fund and they mobilize the private sector to help. And the most successful model is the Lagos State model. So now Osun State, Kaduna State, even at a point federal government trying to buy into that Lagos State idea. It's a tribute to the vision of those who came up with the idea of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. Osun State does not have to reinvent the wheel. They have the Lagos State model to study. And incidentally, the governor of Lagos State was a pioneer member of the board of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. And as governor, he has shown continued commitment to these ideas. So they have Babajide Sanwo-Olu to give them whatever blueprint they are looking for. Number two is that they need to mobilize the private sector because the private sector, funds the Lagos State Initiative heavily. And you cited the example of Femi Otedola and others who have continued to support that program. The third is to pay attention to integrity of the administration. As for Miyetti Allah setting up his own brigade of vigilantes, the Constitution recognizes only one armed forces, only one Nigerian police force. So any other thing that you see people create, whether it's MASOP or it is OPC or it is any group in any part of Nigeria, is a comment on the failure of the Nigerian state to secure people. The funny thing about this Miyetti Allah thing is that the secretary of Miyetti Allah was saying that when the vigilante group was inaugurated, the commissioner of police was there. Military leaders were there.
We saw
and that they cannot claim that they don't know that it exists. So, but the problem is about the state of security in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I'd love to thank you all, as always, for your great contribution on What's Trending. Nigeria must be safe. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.